We have a very special guest in studio, my friend and training partner. He is a black belt in judo, a purple belt in Brazilian jiu-jitsu, currently pursuing his PhD in physics at Washington University, the great and powerful Phil Vojta.
Great to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for coming on.
Welcome to the show, Phil. I've been wanting to, sit down and talk to you like this for a while because we've known each other for years at this point, and I can't really think of many times we've sat down and talked outside of the mat. I don't think there's ever been a time where we've really sat down, outside of sitting on a mat and talking.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that's how Zach sold the show to me. He was like, come on, we can finally sit down, have a conversation, get to know each other. Like, all right, let's do it. Sounds good.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I just, it's like, I feel like this is a great way for, to get to know somebody. Cause like, how often do you, sit down and just like across the table for someone and talk for an hour and a half? Like it doesn't really happen these days without, looking at your phone or having, other things going on. So, I'm really excited to kind of get into, what you got going on. As we were talking before, you're pursuing your PhD in physics. What kind of led you down that path?
Oh, physics, it's a little bit complicated because I come from a kind of interesting family where a lot of us have pursued physics. My dad has a physics degree. My mom does, my grandpa does, my sister does. And there's a few of us that did it as physicists. And so even though it's something that a lot of us do, I actually went through a bit of a rebellion phase. I didn't want to do it. I wanted to do like professional grappling, professional fighting. It was the thing that I was completely obsessed with in my teens. And then, I burnt out of that at eventually a little bit and started looking for other things in life. And the plan initially was still not physics. It was, let's go learn about sports science. Let's go do athletic training. Let's try to learn some other stuff that I can bring back into grappling. But one, there were parts of it that didn't end up the way that I expected. And two, even though people perceive physics people as very smart on those classes that were involved in learning sports science, anatomy, the human body, I was getting killed. I was getting absolutely destroyed. So eventually I sort of started leaning towards what was familiar, but also what I eventually started just excelling at and falling in love with. And I got completely obsessed with that for a few years. Repeated the same mistakes I did in grappling a little bit, dealt with some burnout, and now I'm sort of trying to find balance where I have both in my life and pursuing both as much as I can.
Yeah, man. I mean, balancing is something that anybody struggles with it. I certainly struggle with it, balancing my, trying to be as good as I can at jiu-jitsu, trying to be the best dad, husband, being the best real estate agent I can. Like I feel like that's almost the key to a happy life, man, is like have multiple pursuits and like have multiple things that you're pursuing. Like, at least for me, that's I'm like constantly, sure. But like you said, you always have this guilt of like, I'm focusing more right now on this, and then and then you start to see that decline a little bit, and you're like, I gotta, maybe I need to stop, spending so much time at jiu-jitsu, spend more time with my family, or like vice versa. And it's you gotta
be honest with yourself about what you want in life. Like, if you're not living, like, for example, there was a time I just wanted to grapple full time and achieve like specific big goals. I was focused on medals, just that. But eventually you have to be honest, like, I don't want that life. I don't want to do that. And don't pretend that you're living the life that's going to get those medals when you're not, and just accept like, yeah, I want other things. I'm still enjoying this. I'm still doing this, but I have other goals. And as long as you can make those trade-offs with some confidence in yourself and your own decisions, then I think you're in a good spot. But it's hard. Yeah, it's hard always, but knowing you're making the right choice.
Yeah, because if you look at that person that is, the world champion or whatever, take a snapshot of their life. You can't just take that, that world champion piece. It's a onesie, man. You got to put that whole thing on.
It's so hard.
You can't just pick and choose.
Don't do it.
It's a one piece suit. It's not you can't just put on the shirt and be the world champion that day. You got to do the whole damn thing. And it's just it's balancing it is quite the pursuit. But I love it.
And all the things that you're doing are years and years and years of pursuit. I mean, how long did it take you to get your black belt in judo?
So it was relatively fast, but I was pursuing judo like pretty intensely. So I started judo when I was 14. Okay. Did that for 5.5 years and got it literally the day before I turned 20. I was 19.
Still that's a long time. That's 5 years to get to work through.
Yeah,
pretty. I mean,
and when you're a kid, it feels super long.
Relatively fast once with what we know about martial arts and working through the ranks. But I mean, the same thing with getting your PhD. I mean, high school, 4 years of college. Now
Yeah.
you're in even more college. Like, I mean, that's a long pursuits. We've talked about burnout. You know, what is it that you're doing to keep yourself from burning out from all of these things?
I think that the big thing, and I've even heard like some of my heroes in judo say this, where it's good just to have a couple different sources of success in life. I feel like you've got to be able to push through times where something's not going that well. If you want success at something, you've got to be willing to just go through periods where you're not having success at that thing. And very few people get blessed with automatic success. Most people just have to keep putting themselves out there and pushing through it and doing it over and over. And it's okay to be honest with yourself that when you're focusing on two different things, the plus side is sometimes one thing's not going well. Sometimes like everything at the work that I do in physics is dragging and I can't get anything out and I'm arguing with all my collaborators all the time and stuff is negative, but then I go to jiu-jitsu and everything falls away. And sometimes I go and lose at a competition and I'm pissed off and it's bothering me, but I go and have a great week in my general life. And I think that that's the plus side. Like that's how the big thing that you get out of that is just tolerance. Like if something goes wrong, you can push through it, keep pushing through.
Yeah. And don't give up.
Well, I like how you said that, is like you lean on the others to push you through like lean on jiu-jitsu when your, school or work isn't going in well, and then when jiu-jitsu's not going well, you lean on the other one. So it's a good balance and a good way to push through that.
Yeah, I think that's how I ended up where I am. Is I kind of need my life to be that way. I need to be obsessed with stuff.
Yeah.
But if I'm obsessed with one thing, it goes just a little too far.
Okay.
So I've tried to be obsessed with two things.
Yeah, man. And so what originally kind of led you to judo?
So my first martial art was not judo, it was taekwondo, but I'll start before that because my family immigrated to the US when I was 3, and even though like the part of the reason we came to the Midwest was actually because of the people, because my parents coming from Germany came here and were like, man, the people are so nice, so welcoming. This is the place we want to be. So this is what I'm about to say is not at all a knock on the people, but just growing up somewhere where you live in a different household from everybody else, people have a very different mentality from your family and the way that you think about stuff. The experiences and stories that your parents have are very different from everybody else. I feel like I had a little trouble fitting in as a kid. I wasn't always like finding my group, let's say. So as I got into like my preteens, it got a little harder. I even had a little bit of bullying problems and stuff like that. So I had a little bit of a confidence issue. I wasn't confident in my skin. I wasn't confident in the place that I was standing. And martial arts changed all of that like almost immediately. It's crazy. Like I went to like a couple sessions at taekwondo, not judo, but just the energy, the workout, the building, the confidence and the self-discipline and the idea of pursuing something. I got completely addicted to it. Thankfully, I had an instructor there who was really big on the idea of pursue all martial arts, learn everything. He was a huge Bruce Lee fan, which I am to this day. I am to this day. So, and then I was just looking at what's around. What can I get a hold of? What can I do? So, and there was like barely anything. I grew up in Rolla, Missouri. It's a town of 20,000 people, a little college town. These days, there's some more stuff there, but back then there was almost nothing. But there was a little judo school. It turned out that the instructor for that judo school, Amber Jones, was number 5 in the country at that time, trying to go to the Olympics, like working super, super hard. So there were serious people there, even though it was tiny, which is sort of the story of most good judo schools. And I just think because that was the place where there was the most competitive experience and the most competitive energy, I just started competing in judo and doing it and sticking with it. And for years, I was doing like all kinds of martial arts, but judo just stuck. I kept competing in that, kept doing that. Got to college, was only doing that, and the rest is history.
Man, that's so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So what brought you from Rolla to St. Louis?
So I started judo in Rolla, Missouri, tiny little judo program there. So my first like inkling that I was going to end up in St. Louis was that eventually I was competing a little bit, getting a little better at judo, even doing some jiu-jitsu and getting obsessed with that. That school closed down, a tiny place. But then I went to White Dragon Judo in St. Louis, Missouri, and just visited. And
so you just drove up here.
Just drove up here with
let me go check this
people.
place out.
Yeah, with people from Rolla Judo. Like my first coach, Amber, she was connected with them and had worked with them. Like so, we were sort of in community, but I'd never been there. And then I got there, and from my perspective, like it was so many body, so many good rounds. And I just went out there and I went ham. I remember it was like, there were almost too many people on the mats to really have like everybody train a ton. So they would do a little bit of drilling, everybody get to the side of the mat, and then just rounds and just find people.
Yeah,
A
group, B group kind of deal.
Yeah, I was like 16, super nervous. I was like, I have to look good. So I went out there and I just like, I can't get off the mat. If I get off the mat, I look bad. And eventually my coach had to tell me to get off the mat because I could barely move. I was just getting thrown over and over. But that was after maybe like 6-7 rounds. And so then I guess I made a good impression. So then the coaches started coming over, helping me out. And I realized like I could get way, way better there. I started training there more and more. I started driving up there 2 hours from the age of like 16 to 18 and then 19 when I was home from school. I did that like 2 or 3 times a week for years just to train up there. And then, so I wanted to go to college in St. Louis and
so you could be
potentially a different place. Yeah. I considered a couple other places. And then you have to balance that out with like, where do you get into? Where can you go? But St. Louis worked out and White Dragon.
Dude,
there.
That's awesome.
Sick. White Dragon.
White Dragon.
Damn, that's so cool, man.
How often are you doing judo nowadays? Because I feel like that's way more physically demanding than what jujitsu is, because you're constantly being thrown or throwing somebody, right?
Yeah, so that's definitely true. I think that the two sports have different wear and tear, and there are still definitely parts of jujitsu where I have to balance those out just as much as the judo stuff. But I try still, honestly, to do them about the same amount. And that might like wax and wane different directions depending on what I'm getting ready for, what I'm focusing on. The last couple of months, I've been very, very judo focused. I've had judo competitions going on that I want to get ready for, and that's been the goal. So I try to do a few times a week of each, 3 or 4 times a week of each, and I'm happy. Not always that works out that well, but that's the goal.
Yeah.
How do you think judo helps you more with jujitsu, or jujitsu helps you more with judo?
Oh, that's a hard question. So honestly, it's about even, but it's really different. And it's actually interesting in the way that it's different because I did a tiny bit of jujitsu like right when I started judo for about 4 months. And it's interesting, if you go back and you watch a lot of my matches from when I was a kid, even the first judo school I went to, it was actually a school that was more groundwork oriented. So I was going into matches where I was just outgunned. I was not going to throw these kids. So I was just dragging them to the mat and trying to do jujitsu. And then I started doing jujitsu again, seriously, like 22, 23 at Watson's where we train. And
remember seeing you come in? You had long hair.
Yeah, I still had the man bun.
Yeah, the man bun.
Post-COVID man bun.
Yeah, I remember.
We're never going back.
I remember my very first round with you. Everybody was like, "Yeah, that guy's a black belt in judo." I was like, "Well, I know I'm pulling guard against him. I bet he's not used to seeing that."
That did happen. I mean, to be fair, you were one of the few people that would just actually go on the feet with me when I asked. There were a lot of people.
For sure. I mean, I wrestle.
No interest.
I mean,
Well, it's funny because my very first time in the fundamentals class, they put me up against him. I had no clue that you were a black belt in judo, and we start off grappling, and within 20 seconds, he's throwing up a flying arm bar. I'm like, well, this is fundamentals, huh?
Welcome to fundamentals,
yes.
Pat.
That's unfortunate.
Because I specifically remember Trevor was pointing. He goes, no, you're with him.
Oh man!
Like, thanks, Trevor.
I probably saw Trevor do that too. And was like, what do you want me to do? All right, I guess I have to do something.
Got to show him this stuff works.
Yeah, that's how I took it. Man. Yeah, but so to answer your question, I feel like judo has groundwork, but it's got a very unique, different take on it from jiu-jitsu. And because I was already a black belt when I started doing jiu-jitsu again seriously, I already have a decent sense for how it works there. So when I learn something in jiu-jitsu, even if I know it at like a blue belt level, a purple belt level, I can figure out how to use it in the other direction pretty well. And so honestly, I want to be humble about it, but in judo, that's been a huge explosion in my game, just having the jiu-jitsu in and applying that. But part of that's because I know how to do it. And then in jiu-jitsu, I actually almost really have to be disciplined with myself. My favorite person who talked about this that I learned from was Travis Stevens. So if you don't know who that is, he's a silver medalist in the Olympics in judo, also a phenomenal jiu-jitsu black belt, like one of my heroes, absolutely incredible.
Isn't he he's like one of the first like black American black belts, wasn't he? Or am I thinking of someone else?
Travis Stevens? No, I don't think he was one of the first American black belts.
I must be thinking of someone else.
But If he was, then I hope he doesn't see this.
Yeah.
But yeah, so he did both, and he was pursuing judo at a super high level. And his way of talking about it was, there are two separate arts. They don't overlap. Don't think about them as overlapping, and just learn them completely independently. And so that's with jujitsu. I have to balance that, because then you go into a tournament, you're using your best skills, you're leaning on what gives you confidence. And you're like, well, I have black belt in judo skills. Like, I can lean on that under pressure. But at the same time, for actually learning jujitsu, I don't want to be biased. I don't want to be stuck in stuff that I learned when I was a kid and not be able to branch out. So I try to set it aside. I try to be surprisingly jujitsu. We'll put it that way.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. What would you say like is the biggest like difference when it comes to training both arts, like as far as like training day to day, like because I've never trained judo. Like
Mhm.
what's the structure of a class like? Is it similar to jiu-jitsu where you're doing technique for 30 40 minutes of the class, and then like the last portion is like live sparring, or how does it go?
Yeah. So the basic idea of the class structure is that you're doing drilling for most of it, and then for somewhere between a quarter and a half of the class, you're doing live. And there's like, I would group the ways that people train judo probably into two groups. There's like an old school way and there's a new school way. And the old school, like Japanese way, is you learn a technique, and then you're going to drill it hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of times to death, getting every little minutia right, and then you can execute it, and then they're going to add some more stuff onto it and some more movement. And that's very like, it's a super reps oriented style of training. You get in there, you learn the shape of the move, and you rep it to death, and you're going to be better because you've repped it to death. But then there's also, I think, the more modern way of doing it, which is way more about judo's about feel. It's about feeling the balance of the person. So it's about, we're going to have ways that we're working on moving people today, setting people into a move, and okay, we're going to give you the basic shape. It doesn't need to look perfect, but you have to get a feel for, I want to move them this way. I want to feel them falling onto me and get that locked in. In a sense, that's like the two big things that people are focusing on when they're drilling. So I think that compared to jiu-jitsu, you're going to see high reps. There's a very strong orientation towards high reps, and part of that is because the moves have a stronger learning curve. Because when you're on the feet and you're trying to throw another human being through the air, you have to have a lot of parts of your body doing the right thing at the right time together. And that's hard for people to learn, especially if a lot of that is not intuitive. If you're not that athletic, you have to learn what to do with your head, to learn what to do with your hand, your hip, with your knee, with your foot. And you have to learn how to do all of those things, not step by step, but at the same time. And then the techniques work. And that just takes a long time for people to get down. Judo's perceived as being a lot harder on the body. I think that it's true to a degree, but part of what makes judo, I think, not that jiu-jitsu doesn't have this, but what I think makes it a bit special is because you are dealing with falling so many times over and over and over, you have to learn to take care of each other. Like I was actually just listening to the podcast with Cody Kellison.
Oh, yeah.
I think he talked about this in a way that I really liked, where he did it in like a youth program, right?
Yeah.
And he said, when you do judo for 2 hours with each other, you learn to take care of each other. Because like if I throw you 100 times and you throw me 100 times, we can do the techniques in a way where they look good, but we can
Like
walk away
slowly,
after.
I'm not slamming you into the mat every single time.
Yeah.
You know?
Or even when you watch videos of judo people slamming each other in the mat, there's a lot of little tricks they're doing where they're taking it off of each other. That
break falls,
slapping, the break falling, the pulling up a little bit at the end, the rolling over each other. There's all kinds of stuff that at a high level people are doing to take off the impact of the training.
Well, yeah. I mean, I could think of. I mean, you've thrown me numerous times, and I can't remember one time where I hit the ground super hard and it like knocked the wind out of me, and like you're always very respectful about how. I mean, you apply the move 100%, but like at that last quarter of a second, you're letting up a little bit, so I'm not just getting all the
control.
Wind. Yeah, it's controlled. It's very controlled.
And I mean, jiu-jitsu has that too. Like we all know that annoying training partner that just rips the arm bar or kind of falls on something and they don't really have that much control. We all know that person that does stuff beautiful and smooth and slow. And you're like, this is amazing as it's being done to you. And then you know exactly when to tap and it's all good. And so that definitely is, I think it's part of what makes martial arts special is you learn how to fight, but you learn how to be part of a community where you all take care of each other and get better.
Yeah.
judo has a lot of that because of how hard it is. I think that's what makes it special.
Oh, that makes complete sense. Now, when you started training jujitsu at Watson's, what did it feel like, kind of putting a white belt back on? I'm sure
Oh, I
that
was
probably was like a little bit of a, you're tying this black belt around your waist every day. And then all of a sudden you're like, man, I'm back to square one. Like that.
Yeah,
what that
it was
feeling
cool.
like?
So I mean, there's two ways you could look at it, and I think what most of it was, and the good answer is that it was really cool to start from scratch and be a white belt again, and just an enjoyable experience. And the other side of it is, to be honest, the first day there was some thinking in the back of my head, like, how far is my judo going to take me? Like, there's going to be different belts there. How's it going to go with the different levels there? Like, what's this going to be like? Is it going to be the white belts or the blue belts going to be beating me up? Or only the black belt's going to be like, I had no idea.
Sure.
So, and I go there and I do the class, and the first thing we're doing is like leg locks.
Some completely whole new world for you.
What is this?
Yeah.
And then, it was like 50-50. It was like standing up out of 50-50. And I felt so unathletic. Like our coach, Trevor, he had to come over and help me just put my feet in the right place so I could stand up. It was bad, but it was cool because it was something just completely new and exciting. And ultimately that's what I wanted. But then we get to some rounds later on, and there were a couple of people, I think at the time I couldn't tell if I was being funneled towards like, oh, give him the tough guys and test him, or if they were just like letting me go with people. So some people would stand with me and I'd pull out a little bit of judo just because I didn't want to look like they knew I was a judo guy coming in. I didn't want to look like I had nothing, but I wasn't trying to be a complete
hero.
asshole.
Yeah, you don't want to be a hero.
I wasn't trying to like kill the vibe and just slam everybody. Like that's not cool. But then Trevor just beat the crap out of me.
Oh yeah,
beat the absolute crap out of me.
Yeah, I know.
It was awesome. I got him with one. I had one shining moment in a sea of getting absolutely destroyed.
Yeah, I can think of like one or two times I've ever had like done something good against Trevor, and like and I paid for it immediately.
He was
I've just stayed away.
Yeah,
yeah, he has a certain way of rolling,
and even those those handful of times he could have just let me do it. I don't
watching him demonstrate on you guys. I'm like, nope, that's just a demonstration.
Yeah, it's always me or Phil.
He's very physical. He makes it legitimate.
Yeah, he doesn't show anything at 50%. No,
I mean that's all right.
Oh,
it's,
for sure.
It's make it look real, but you have to know what it like. Being the uke for him is work.
Oh yeah,
but that's how it is for a lot of great people.
But I love being the uke because it, like you really get to feel how it should, I feel like it makes me a better training partner to the people that I, am then drilling that move with. I was like, no. He had his foot was here and the pressure was here. And like, I can be like, oh no, your hand's in the wrong spot. Cause I just felt what it's supposed to feel like from him, and I think that's a helpful piece for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, and again, when I talk about stuff that's unique to judo, there's always a little bit of like, well, jiu-jitsu has that too, and every sport has that. But in judo, the idea of being the uke is like it's a skill. Like I have been yelled at many times for being a bad uke, and then been pulled aside and been like, here's what you're supposed to do. This is the look you're supposed to give. This is what this is supposed to look like. And then just that skill of also paying attention to, I know what the look is supposed to be. I understand the concept of the moves. Like this is for when my leg is this way. This is for when my weight's over here. And just knowing how to flow through that with another person, feel that out. Like it's one of those sneaky skills that people don't realize how valuable it is for getting good at grappling. Because once you get that down, you can learn constantly just by feel, just by seeing what people are doing, and super, super valuable and good for networking.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, definitely. 100%, man. Couldn't agree more.
Well, you mentioned your family moving over here from Germany, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So you're first generation here then. I mean,
yeah. I'm a citizen. I pretty much grew up here. Like I'm an American. Absolutely.
How much of your drive do you feel is fueled by like the sense of responsibility to the sacrifice that your family made coming over here?
Oh, I feel like it's a huge amount of my perspective is just, I like that you said, the sacrifices they made just coming over here, because that's even another part of it. But it even just starts from understanding the differences between what I had growing up and what the previous generations of my family had growing up. Like we all know where Germany was in the 1940s.
Right.
That was obviously dark. But then even after that, the part of Germany that I'm from became East Germany, got taken over by the communists, and couldn't vote, no freedom of speech, got quotas to pay to the Russians. If you protest against them, they send in the tanks. There's a police state. Like it was a very dark place to be. And it was like 1989 when the wall fell, and that the country unified is like a huge moment for my family for finally getting like access to the world, getting it like my whole family travels a ton because we finally get to just be out in the world and not trapped inside of these couple of countries. And understanding that I'm the first generation that has all of that. I'm generation one is huge for me because I have to make it worthwhile. I have to use that. No one like everything that you achieve in life, somebody probably did more with less. Somebody came from less. And I just am, I feel extremely conscious of all the blessings I have, all the freedom we have today, all the opportunities we have today. And gotta make the most of that while it's here. And I think that there's a lot of stuff just walking around day to day that obviously everybody's grateful for and we're happy that it's here. But I just feel super conscious of it. Man, I have these opportunities. I have these freedoms. I can just go and live life and I don't have to worry about some oppressive state bothering me.
Do you feel that's caused you to push harder in the judo and the jujitsu and then the schooling and all that as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that, I mean, part of it is like that just, I'm a super lucky guy in that my parents were able to support me as far as traveling to judo stuff and paying for judo stuff. And you know, when I was 16, I was getting some help, being able to just do everything, obviously. And that would not have been an option in the same way for the previous generation of my family. That just wouldn't have been something that we could do and pursue. And then there's the other part of it, like you said, just the pure sacrifice. Like most of my family is in another part of the world. I obviously had that little bit of like, I had to find my place as an immigrant that didn't initially feel like they belonged. And everyone in my family had to go through that and deal with that. And on top of that, just the money, the bureaucracy, the lawyers, the just doing everything so you get to come over here. Like, yeah, I have to make that worth it. Sure. I can't waste that. Absolutely. Like that's one of the big gifts that I have in life and we're going to put it to use.
Sure, man.
Well, you can definitely see it with what you've accomplished so far. So,
well, I really appreciate that. I feel like I still am at the point where I have to get everything that I'm trying to get, but yeah, I feel grateful.
Now, I mean, because you mentioned you have your whole family are physicists.
Sort of. We have a few physicists, but
got their degrees and
close enough, right? Close enough.
Now, because I mean, you always hear this stuff about certain countries, like, hey, this is like they're going to push people into certain fields and certain degrees. Was that how it was back then? Is that why your family was pushed into physics, or was that something that they chose that they wanted to go into?
Oh, I mean, that's a great question, actually. So, you know, back when there were a bunch of communist countries, they all had a chip on their shoulder and they wanted to prove that they could be as good as the US and the Western countries, stuff like that. So there was a lot of push to go, like that was one of the few ways that you could have a good life is you go and you train for something academic like that. And actually my dad didn't want to be a physicist.
No.
Funny story. He wanted to be a computer scientist.
Okay. He
wanted to be a computer scientist, but if all of the technology in your country is 15 years behind, how are you going to be a computer scientist?
True.
So that's what was available. And, you know, especially like just using your brain, pen and paper, physics, anybody in the world can do that. That's something like for centuries, everywhere in the world, doesn't matter how poor they are, doesn't matter how limited the technology is, everybody in the world is doing it a little bit.
Yeah. That makes sense. Now, do you think that there's like a crossover between like your judo, martial arts, jiu-jitsu brain and your physics brain? Like, is there any overlap there? Like, obviously, like I don't think you're doing like applying
complex calculations
while you're doing jiu-jitsu, but like, do you think that there's like some kind of overlap there?
I think that ultimately they're both about problem solving, and I think that physics is very like I mentioned, I got crushed by anatomy classes and I also got crushed by chemistry classes, and I basically did well in like math and physics. That's what I was like really good at, or stuff that was sort of logical. And it's very like foundational. You just you observe what's happening. You try to build a little bit of an idea of the structure of what's happening. You make some guesses and then see what happens and just go from there. Like, I've had people comment in training that I'm very like, you know, I'm not risk averse. I just let shit go wrong. I'll bounce off of the wall of failure all the time and just see what happens.
One of my favorite things about training with you is like you don't you have some stuff you are very, very good at, and I know you could get me with this here, but like you're gonna try something new here. You're like, oh, I'm gonna go jump on this and see what I can go. You'll go a different path. Like you're not the guy who is so focused on he's or like let's just like say he's like really good at body lock passing or something like that, and like that's all you ever do. Like no, you could do a lot of every because you're always experimenting on new things, and you make the roles so fun because you're not someone who's just gonna like hunker down in one position and just like hold someone there. Like no, you're gonna and wait to get what you want. You're gonna explore. You're gonna try different things. You're gonna experiment. And
Yeah, I have black belts grab me sometimes just because they want to work on something new on me. They don't even they don't even really want me to do that much jujitsu. They're just like, let me put you in this move and then
What are you
just
gonna
see
do?
what
Yeah.
happens. And then I just try to comb through step by step what's every possible, even if it's stupid, even if it doesn't work, what's every possible thing that I could do here. And I think that that's, I think in a very similar way in both where like in the end you're being confronted by problems. And I think that both take a huge amount of stubbornness. Like when you're grappling, you're dealing with adversity, you're dealing with something physically hard, you're dealing with something painful. And when you're dealing with physics problems, whether it's in a lab or on a computer doing a simulation or just trying to calculate something and figure something out, like it's hard, it's difficult, it's stressful, you get tired from it, and then you just have to be stubborn, push through, and know like I'm going to solve this problem, I'm going to beat it. So especially I noticed this like in the in between like I did martial arts as the one thing I cared about for 5 years, and then I went and did physics in college and even had less focus on the martial arts. But I could tell there was just a level of one of the reasons I did well in college before I got to the PhD level was I just was more stubborn. Like when the problem wasn't solvable, I would keep going until 2 or 3 a.m. because I was just that pissed off about it. I was like, I have to beat it. I have to beat it. So that mentality is the same. It's completely the same between the two.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, that's cool.
What do you have any other competition? Any other? I know you just had one. Was that last weekend? Do you have any other judo comps lined up here?
Yeah. So it's
focusing more
I
back
might
on jujitsu.
yeah, I have to find the time for competitions are a great example of where the balance is hard. But I have a couple judo things lined up. I might be slipping in on something this weekend. We'll see how everything lines up. But there's another thing on a little tournament October 25th out in Indiana that I'm gonna try to find some new people at. In judo, it's hard because the sport is small, and I'm at a level where I have to look pretty far to find actual competition.
Well, it's even that same way in jujitsu. I mean, like if you want to compete at a black belt level, like you pretty much have to do IBJJF for the most part.
And that's sort of
it's kind of the same thing.
I have a similar
jujitsu
level
bigger,
thing.
But
Yeah, jujitsu is bigger. And then I have a similar level thing set up in November that's going to be like prize money, actual stuff lined up. There's going to be a lot of elite black belts there, points to the national roster. Like that'll be fun.
Sweet.
So
That's pretty cool.
I'm trying to build up momentum. My method usually for big stuff like that is let's build a little momentum, do some small stuff, prototype a game, tweak it, do a couple, and then go do something big. And so right now, this quarter, I want to be a push to that and hopefully slip in some jujitsu, but I don't know yet.
Yeah. I mean, there's a couple of local tournaments here in jujitsu for like the next few months. I think there's
You got Strange Hands. You got
and then I think there's an AGF and I think there's a Fuji coming up here, or maybe
a Naga event too.
Maybe I'm thinking Naga, not
It's
AGF.
November 8th. I thought I saw somebody post about that.
Yeah, I think I don't know. It's
But then
one
you got
of
the
them.
one in Kansas City that you were talking about.
Yeah, and then there's an IBJJF in
That's what I'm
KC.
thinking about.
I was thinking about that, especially after this past weekend. I was
that
like,
could be good.
man. Well, that's what I told. The only thing is I'm going out of town then the weekend after that, so I don't know if I want to go out of town 2 weekends in a row.
Well, I'll try to nudge you about it later.
Yeah, nudge me.
We're in a
about it,
similar
and
spot. We
I'll
just had
bug my wife about
competitions.
it.
We just had not quite the results that we wanted. It's all good. But I had shout out to this guy, EJ Lynch. Look him up. He's a phenomenal judo guy. He's like this is going to sound a little weird, but when I was explaining who he is to my team, I was saying he's the me of Oklahoma. And honestly, I think that puts it about right. And we had a very, very tight competitive match. I had a very detailed game plan set up of how I was going to beat him. I think I was putting it on him for 3.5 minutes, and judo being the way it is, like I made one little mistake. He got the score, the big ippon that ends a judo match instantly, and then it was over. So but shout out to him. He's really good. He beat me, which has not happened. No one my size has beaten me in the state of Missouri in a long, long time. Long time. So, but that's an example. Like he's in Oklahoma. To find someone like him, I have to go out there. And so but it's good.
Yeah, because I was talking to Zach, like getting more and more into jujitsu. Like I'm like, oh, next year, like, I want to start looking into competing. But then we're like looking up my weight class and being a white belt. There's nothing. Like no, like
well, there wasn't any at this past tournament. But hey,
like that's what I'm saying.
Could have signed up at the Open and fucking dominated.
That might be what you have to do.
Yeah,
Is just
do opens.
Beat up the little people.
Yeah. But I mean,
I hate going against little people.
I mean,
though. They're too.
But then, like Blake, he went up against a guy that was bigger than you in his open class.
Yeah,
really.
That dude
apparently was a tree.
I literally like that's literally what I said. I said like I go, can you imagine R-barring him? It's like you might as well break off try to break off a tree limb. It's I mean his arms were like my legs.
He was a blue belt.
Blue belt. I mean this dude was a giant. Like
Where was he out of?
I don't know. He had a shirt on. He had one of those girth squad rash guards. It's like the big fat monkey on it. I was like, I don't know where he's from, but I think that rash guard's hilarious. The girth squad.
You need to look into that one.
Big old boy.
That's where ultra heavy is scary.
Oh yeah.
No upper limit is scary.
For sure. Especially being like kind of middle of the pack like you and I are. Like because what do you weigh? Like 190?
Right now, probably like low 180s because I was just cutting. But yeah, I'll get up to 190 when I'm relaxing.
Yeah. So I knew you kind of you're a little bit heavier than me, but not much.
As a big guy, we're not as fast as you, so you use the speed to your advantage, and I can't.
Doesn't always work.
It doesn't always work.
If I can use my strength and grab and get on top, that's one thing. But like trying to get on top is fucking hard.
Yeah, well, I mean, think about getting on top when the guy outweighs you 100 pounds.
Yeah. We're desperate. We're trying to not get smushed.
Yeah. I'm not pulling guard. I'm not pulling guard on big guys like you. That's for sure. I'm gonna try to stay on top, get behind you.
Flying arm bars. That's all you gotta do.
Just avoid that. Avoid those big dudes.
Wow.
So what's it like been? So you've kind of helped build this judo program at White Dragon. How did that kind of come about?
Yeah. So, the way I fell into it was I had that little bit of time that I stepped away. I was focusing on my academic stuff, and COVID happened. And I was like, man, I need my life to not just be one thing all the time. Like I need to not just be singular person. So I go back. I'm doing both things, but after COVID, the school really got small.
So did it?
Really struggling.
I mean, obviously they shut down completely during COVID.
Or pretty close to.
Were you training?
I was not there at the time. It timed perfectly with when I was focusing on other stuff anyway. So I was like, well, I'm trying really hard to get into grad school. I'm just doing physics anyway. So I just kind of wrote it out. It's like, everything is shut down. Let's just hunker down and focus on what I got to do and try to progress. But after stuff opened up and I was already in a position of like, I'm almost getting into grad school, I'm ready. Then I started going back and it got but they really struggled in that time. Got super small, different coaches stepping away. White Dragon Judo has been around since like 2003, I think. And it's always been like volunteer coaches. Like nobody makes any money from that place. It's just our efforts. And so different people retire and step away. And it was probably down to like 20 people in the school or something like that. Like we were really, really struggling. And it's not just me that did this. Like one of our new black belts, Juan, he came in and he redid a bunch of business stuff and redid our website and got us on the top of Google again and did all the stuff that you're like supposed to do to actually make your business successful. And I came in and started doing more and more coaching and trying to really lead from the front. And I think that a lot of the stuff that I do, is in a spot where I feel like if I don't do it, there's nobody that can do it, because there's got to be somebody that leads from the front that can coach, that can teach, but can also go out and compete and show what that looks like and help everybody get it ready. Not just like talking about it as something that I did in the past, but
you're
go
actively out doing it.
Got to be active and show what it is. So
Kyle does the same thing.
Exactly. And so as far as like young competitive black belts that could be a White Dragon and do that, like right now it's just me. So, I mean, different people come in, people get older, people retire. Like it's not that I'm the only good competitive guy that was there, but yeah, for a long time, I was trying to build that up also selfishly because I want training partners. Mm-hmm. And so there was that little bit of like, well, if I actually build this and we get people, then I have more bodies and I can get better work. And for a while it was tough, a lot of growing pains, a lot of learning how to run a classroom, how to actually put together a class and make it a good time for everybody, not dive deep into all the different knowledge that not make it so, you can take a class and make it honest to God, like this is the best way to get better at this sport. If you do this, you will get better 100%. But then everybody's miserable. Everybody's tired. Everybody's exhausted. Nobody has a good time. Half the people don't think they want to come back because they could barely do it. And learning how to just put together something that people enjoy, that's entertaining, that also helps people get better.
Yeah.
It's always a balance.
How much of that have you learned from Kyle? Because Kyle's curriculum and the way he does it is incredible.
Kyle is the master at it. Honestly, there's a lot of methodology and a lot of structure that he does that I really try to steal. There's still stuff where like judo has its own ways that stuff sticks together. But yeah, I think that there's a lot of the idea of Kyle is extremely good at putting together a system that like works between a few different positions, and you can put the whole thing together. And if you learn it and you apply it, you know what to do. You just know what to do in that spot. You've got the answers. So I think that I learned a lot about, for the sport of judo, there's a different spot. Let's put together a little system where you're good to go. I gave you a little closed system in the class. If you learn these couple things, now you can go out there in the rounds and just go and just enjoy and try to do stuff. And especially with how challenging judo is overall, you got to give people that help. So I learned a ton from him there, learned a ton from a lot of great people there. Part of it is I kept going to camps, kept trying to get better on like a competitive level. So I've learned just on a technical level, I've gotten better. I've learned from Olympians, top people, and realized, man, I was teaching that wrong. Yeah. For years. I was doing that wrong for years.
Well, Kyle says stuff like that too all the time. He's like, I used to teach it this way, but now I do it this way. And this is why, it's like, there's always innovations, and no matter what sport.
That just happened to me a couple months ago. I was at a camp, Olympian, teaching some grip fighting and judo. And he was watching me do some stuff, and I was asking him a question about it later on. And he was looking at me like, what do you mean? Like I could tell my question was stupid. And then it was one of those moments like he didn't want to make me feel bad. So he had everybody stop and answer the question. I was like, but I knew. But so it's good. It's good to be able to have that experience even after 12 years of judo, to be honest. Like just keep learning and keep getting better. And also in jiu-jitsu. That's why jiu-jitsu has been so fun for me in part, is I get to start over and just be at the beginning again.
Yeah, you don't have to be the instructor or the example. You're
you don't have the pressure. You don't have the responsibilities. It was so fun, especially just being a white belt. You just get to, nobody expects anything from you. Everything you do is positive, and especially when they have no idea that you've grappled before. Like everything you do is really positive. So
sure.
it's a good time.
You're really good.
Oh man. Yeah, it was fun.
Yeah, I mean, just coming in with any sort of grappling experience is just, you're ultimately going to be a step ahead compared to the guy who's never done anything. Like, I mean, you look at guys like Jordan, who's wrestled for most of his life, and
he's one that's coming up right now. He's
getting really good, man. I used to be able to kind of throw him around and sub him all the time, and now it's like, man, me and him have very competitive rounds.
I was watching you two guys go. Actually, I think you were there too. The last class that I was just sitting off to the side, I think the three of you guys were going. I was like, damn, you guys are getting after it.
Yeah.
He's very high speed.
Yeah.
Very, very high speed.
That's a good way to put it.
I'm watching him at that.
The Energizer Bunny.
But it's good. You have to have those people where like, man, I get past me. I have to just keep going. I can't. And, in judo and jiu-jitsu, there's people like that now because of just everything that's been building up. At jiu-jitsu, obviously stuff has been successful for a long time, but it's been cool to see now that I've been there for a few years, the next generation coming in and getting better, nipping at our heels. Man, I don't.
Well, like we were talking about Blake, I think before this, like I remember when Blake came in, because I was his coach at the beginner's class, and I was like, man, someone as big and strong as you, it's like, man, if you stick with this thing, you're going to be a handful. I remember thinking that, and then, man, here he is, almost 3 years later, and I mean, he's a handful now. Like Blake is not, definitely not an easy round at all. Like he's a problem for sure, especially with how big and strong he is. Learned how to use that.
And he's smart.
He's smart.
He's not just big and strong.
Yes, that's true. He's very intelligent. Yes, and he's always asking questions. And I mean, he takes all these privates. And I mean, I was at a private with him this morning. And Trevor literally goes, this is going to be one of those times where like I regret teaching you something because like now you're going to use it on me and it's going to be hard to deal with. But I mean, that makes us all better. I mean, that's the fun part about it is we all get better that way. I mean, there's no secrets. We all share everything because it ultimately is going to make us all better. If someone, how to stop my best guard pass. Okay, well, I got to find a new one now. Or, my triangle's coming or whatever. Like, okay, well, maybe I can't do a triangle on you. You're going to every time I throw it up, you're gonna evade it and get past my guard or whatever it is. So it's
He's
like I gotta
also
start.
part of our special breed of like people that are doing judo and jujitsu with me now.
Yes.
Or like they're doing jujitsu at Watson's and they come over and they cross train judo with us, and that's super satisfying.
Yeah, I'm
I
sure.
get a
That's pretty
huge
cool.
kick out of that.
Yeah. I bet, man. How many people have you brought over to the dark side now?
Let's see. So I mean, Blake is one.
Blake's
and
one. Rich.
Rich is another. Amanda's another. She was just on, I guess.
Yeah.
Who else? You remember Mike Donovan?
Yeah.
He still like does stuff at the gym sometimes, and he trained with us for a long time. And I had Tamirlan, one of our new white belts, Greco guy. I think he just like pulled out some big foot sweeps at the IBJJ.
Oh, dude, that was sick.
Yeah,
I watched that, and then
it was pretty
that
awesome.
was so cool.
Was that the guy from Russia?
From Russia?
Russia?
Yeah, or he's from
Yeah.
Uzbekistan,
Or-
I think,
yeah.
but he speaks Russian.
Russian. Yeah.
I don't remember where.
It's squad scraps.
Yeah.
Amanda just told him to be in her corner and just yell Russian at him.
Sometimes that's all
to
you
in-
need.
to intimidate the other guy.
I've had Russians in my corner and it works. They just start screaming like, "All right, I get the energy. I know what you mean."
It's terrifying. Oh man.
Well, I mean, we've seen a big insurgence in terms of the popularity of jiu-jitsu. Have you seen something similar with judo?
So judo's in an interesting spot because I think the height so far was really in like the 70s for the US. Like there was a time when if you were doing a combat sport for fun in the United States, it was probably judo, and that was probably like the 70s or a little before that. And since then things have dipped and jiu-jitsu's come up a lot, and judo has kind of slipped behind, especially in the United States. In the rest of the world, it's doing awesome. It's an Olympic sport. Tons of countries do it. But in the United States, it's really fallen behind. And now we're in an interesting spot where, one, we have a lot of, this might be a little controversial, but we have a lot of old heads who are way too caught up in the way it used to be. They want the 70s back.
It sounds like what Eric was saying about boxing.
Yeah, I could imagine they have that problem too. I could absolutely imagine. And so they want it to be the way it used to be. There's a big buzzword right now. That buzzword is grassroots judo. And the idea is, it's a good idea that, all right, we want our community to grow. It's not just about building up these like singular athletes that we have that are doing great at a high level. We have to build it everywhere at a foundational level. But then sometimes people just say it and they're doing events that are really just about feeling like it's the 70s again and doing, I don't know, not really trying to do judo in a way that shows people how fucking awesome it is, how enjoyable it is to do and what it's really about. I mean, it's a sport about making people fly through the air. How hard is it to market to people?
Yeah.
Right.
Right.
And so one, we're not going to be as big as jiu-jitsu most of the time, probably. Like in most countries, we're pretty saturated and that's awesome. But one, jiu-jitsu is a little easier on the body, or you can do it in ways that are easier on the body. Like judo for a long time had this culture of, as you get older and you don't want to take the falls anymore, what do? You do more groundwork. And now the sports are just more specialized, and judo has more and more of like its focus on what it is. It's about throwing people and some groundwork. But if you want to just do something easy on your body and do groundwork, you're honestly a little better off at jiu-jitsu. But
Yeah, I didn't even realize that there was groundwork in judo. I thought it was more, like you said, just making people fly.
it's meant to be very fast and transition oriented. Like you get one scramble. As soon as anything settles and there's no more movement and people have locked down a position,
You're back on your feet.
the ref stops and you're back on your feet. So whatever happens has to be like go, go, go. One scramble, one
Movement.
entry. Yeah. So it's usually diving on a submission or trying to roll a guy over and pin them as fast as possible, like high speed. So it's it's way more anaerobic than jiu-jitsu. It's a very different pace. I'm not going to name names, but I was just at the judo competition I was just at. One of my students fought a pretty good jiu-jitsu black belt, and that jiu-jitsu black belt could not, in a judo match, couldn't do anything. He won the jiu-jitsu match clearly. He took his back, he flattened him out. He got there over and over and over again, but then you shell up, hide, ref stands you back up. You have another chance to throw each other, because that's how our sport works. And so you have to play the pacing a little differently. Like you use groundwork. Like I use groundwork in judo. This is where the jiu-jitsu comes in. I use it to get people tired. I use it as just, I understand the positions well enough that we're just going to get in a scramble, a 30, 40 second scramble where I'm chasing subs and, okay, all right, I might get you, but you're going to spend 30 to 40 seconds defending, and then we're going to get up and then I'm going to throw you.
Oh, dude, that makes
No,
complete sense
totally.
because that's what training with you is like, because there's never a second to breathe.
That's where secretly I am very judofied, that I try to work at that pace.
Well, and then that's kind of goes back to what I said, why it's fun training with you, because you never like hunker down and like just hold someone there. You're constantly moving, and which, opens up opportunities for the guy you're going against to get stuff on you too.
Yeah, sometimes it's to a fault. Sometimes I can't stop doing stuff, but it's just how I am, I guess.
No, but it's fun. I don't think it's a bad thing, especially in training. Now, if it's if it would be a jujitsu specific competition, there were points were involved or something, that might be you'd probably play it differently.
Yeah.
If like, okay, well, I want to hold this for 3 seconds, I want to get my score or whatever it is.
I was going to ask you if you in a jiu-jitsu match, are you going as fast paced as you do in judo, or are you calming it down a little bit? Because I feel like that'd be really hard to maintain, because you'd be going 5 minutes.
So I think there are parts of my game that are a little bit designed to crank up the speed, like a lot of the outside passing stuff that I'm doing, and a lot of the spots where I can just grip fight people with kind of loose connections, because I do that a ton in judo. And there I'll try to play very higher speed than people are comfortable with. But then there's always those moments where you want to lock. Like, I got there, I'm in the spot that I want, and now we're just going to progress forward slowly and crush you. And it's honestly something I'm still really into exploring in jiu-jitsu right now, is like those spots where I can completely crush someone and control them, and I'm totally dominant, versus I know that they're going to like wilt if they stay here. Because there are spots that are a little more dynamic, where the person is just forced to be defensive in a more active way. They have to expend way more energy to deal with you. And I think trying to balance those out is something I'm generally into. And for judo is super valuable, because you can jump on that guy and even just tire him the fuck out in 30 seconds. That's a whole new layer that you have that you can exploit, even when people are better than you at judo.
Wow. So cool.
That's so cool. Yeah.
I mean, it's just so like, it's just something I never really thought about, as far as like, I've never done judo. So I've never thought about like, okay, well, I got to keep this scramble going when my thought is like, I'm just trying to get to a position where I can really lock this guy down.
Yeah, absolutely. And judo, I think that I've heard a few people say this as far as how the two sports are different. And this is also where, again, judo's in an interesting spot, because people complain about the rules all the time. Like right now, you can't grab legs for like a single leg. You have all those resets on the ground. Like said jiu-jitsu black belt was not happy that he took the back 4 times and somehow still lost the match, but he got thrown. So I don't know. But
you flew more than he did.
Yeah.
Exactly. That's what it's about. What was I saying? But yeah, so I think that the other big thing as far as judo, as far as what makes it like different from jiu-jitsu, is, and that I've heard a few times, is that in general, you can't hide. The rules are designed so there's no way to hide from people. If the person is better than you, it's going to be really difficult to not let that be immediately exposed. Like you can lose a judo match in 10 seconds, easy. You can lose a jiu-jitsu match too in 10 seconds, easy, but it's a little easier to lose a judo match in 10 seconds. I'll put it that way. And exactly. And you're constantly like, the rule set, there's constantly ways to get stalling penalties because you were disconnecting on the grip fighting, or you're moving away, you were not getting in there, locking up with the guy and trying to launch his ass. So there's no hiding. It's very like in your face and confrontational, and like start, stop, anaerobic. And so I think that can be super, super fun for people. It's an incredibly fun sport to do. But it's just a little, more explosive than jiu-jitsu, a little harder. It takes a little more room. All of that is stuff that's going to like, I think, hold us a little bit behind naturally. It takes more space to do judo. It's a little bit harder, but it's still awesome. So I think that a lot of the old heads, like I said, need to get over it.
Yeah, sure.
It's fine. Just enjoy. And
everything else is evolving. You should evolve with it.
Exactly. And like judo just needs to find its identity. We need to know who we are and have schools that know the product that they're selling and how to make it appealing to people in the modern day. And I think that really we've been able to do that at White Dragon. We've been able to put judo together in a way that
is it strictly judo there?
Yeah, we have a couple, like we have a nogi class that I run, I actually teach later tonight, and that's meant to be way more experimental. We relax the rules a bit. You can do single legs, you can do doubles, whatever you want. And it's designed so that jiu-jitsu people, wrestlers, anybody can come in and just kind of learn our skill set. But then the rest of our classes are judo in the gi, straight up.
Yeah, because you can't do judo not in the gi, right? You have to
nogi. We have nogi judo. It's different. It's very different. But a lot of the skill sets are the same.
Nogi judo comps?
Not really.
I was going to say, I don't think so. Right?
Not really. But hey, I still see
Sure.
In other sports, this is what I point out. In other sports, you see people pull out judo moves in the nogi all the time,
Sure.
even though it's so often not trained in a systematic way. It's just like, oh, people in other sports are kind of doing it. So in a sense, it's been really important that I did do jujitsu. If I didn't do jujitsu, I would not be able to teach that class, because through jujitsu, I met wrestlers, I met all kinds of other people, was able to actually build up the nogi skills and just the more general skills of stand-up grappling. Stand-up grappling as a whole, like in the end, it's all just grappling, but we're all getting little slices, little specializations of it. So I think that without the branching out I've been able to do through jujitsu, that class wouldn't work. So yeah, in your average judo school, you probably will not find good nogi. Probably not. It's not really there.
Do you do a lot of jujitsu nogi?
Yeah. Jiu-jitsu, I do 50-50.
Okay.
I'm all about both. I don't want the gi. It's another thing, like I think I maybe mentioned this earlier about how I don't want judo to be this limiting thing in my jiu-jitsu. Like I want my jiu-jitsu to have a bunch of layers that don't look like a judo guy. The bottom game that people don't expect. And part of that's the no-gi. I don't want the gi to be a crutch. Objectively, I'm still better in the gi. I just am, but it's not supposed to be a crutch. It's supposed to be just as good.
Yeah. If we're standing and wearing a gi, I'm fucking watching my P's and Q's, keeping your hips away from me. Keep those things away.
You can exploit the gi so much. I think that it's really all about, people complain about the gi, but just learn a little bit. Just learn a little bit and you'll get it.
Oh, yeah, because when I first started, I was like very averse to the gi. And then eventually, like, I started to really like it. I think I just kept, anytime I was in the gi, I was just constantly getting choked with my own gi. And I was like, this fucking
it's
sucks.
annoying. It's really annoying when people are just wrapping you up in stuff that you're not familiar with, and then you're stuck, and then it's weird, and then I don't know.
I really like the gi.
Yeah, well, I mean, when
I do too, man.
Yeah.
I
don't like the gi when it's like that.
Yeah, I love
like
it.
Grabbing a hold of it and just holding on.
When coming from like wrestling, I was just not used to. I never had to break grips like that. Anytime just to break a grip, all I had to do was roll my wrist out and grab their wrist.
That is one direction where the transition is just easier.
Sure.
I think gi athletes can transition to no gi because you just have to get used to everything being more slippery.
Yes.
But if you're used to everything being slippery and now you're stuck, I think that's a harder problem.
I agree.
Harder problem to deal with.
Yeah, but I think there's huge benefits to training in the gi and not in the gi. I mean, I just enjoy training both. Like I would say I'm probably now, I used to be, I would more 50-50. Now I just rarely make it to no-gi classes at Watson's. And, really the only time I ever trained no-gi lately is like at an open mat or on our Saturday sessions.
Yeah, it's just sort of our schedule.
Yeah.
Like, well, I like doing it. I love doing it, but it's not always easily available.
Sure. Yeah.
What do you feel? So we were asked this question before. I think it was Remington that asked us this when we didn't ask us anything project.
Yeah.
What do you feel like you got to be more technical in, no-gi or gi?
Okay, so no-gi is more scrambly. People know that. That's a common knowledge. And I think that scrambling can be super, super technical, but it's technical in a different way. It's way more about like, I understand how all the positions connect together and I can just move through them more quickly. Like you talked about pace earlier and just moving fast. And it's also part of the reason why I train the way I do, where I just want to see all the little nooks and crannies of positions so that I just okay, I've been here. I don't want to be places I haven't been where I don't have answers. So if you are just get used to putting those answers together fast, that's where the scrambling technique comes in. And I think that it's a thing that's super technical, but in the gi, where things get locked down and you have to deal with specific problems that really stop you from doing everything. Like someone gets one grip on your sleeve or on your collar, and that's just in your way. And you've got to deal with that problem, man. It's not going away. That has its own technical level where if you just don't have the answer, again, if you don't have the answer, then it's going to be hard. So I wouldn't say that either one is more technical, but they're totally different. They're totally different. And I think that a lot of grapplers make the mistake of viewing high-paced or athletic grappling as lesser on the technique. When in reality, it's like, well, I'm just taking the techniques and I'm putting them, like I had a great judo coach that influenced a lot of how I think about this. And this is a place that I honestly take over to jiu-jitsu, which is that he was big on repping at what he called game speed. If you rep everything at game speed, once you know how to do something correctly, like can do the technique right, but if you rep at game speed, a takedown, a sub, whatever, you're going to be able to rep it like that under pressure. And
that's why I always say, because I coach baseball, I'm always like, no, we're doing everything full tilt. You're practicing until you mess, like you're going as fast as you can until you mess up.
Yeah, you're trying to wire that in you. fucking spine.
Right.
So
Well, it's just so it's like a reaction, like tying your shoes. Like I don't have to think about tying my shoes. I just do it.
Exactly.
You know?
So like if I've drilled something to the point that I don't have to think about it and my body does it automatically, and because of that, it does it very fast. Is that less technical than I had a problem, I had to look at it and I had to think about it and solve it in the moment. Like it's two different things, but you need both.
Yeah.
You need both. If you can't do stuff automatically, then people are just going to kill you before you get to do any jujitsu.
Yeah, I'm still in that slow pace right now. Still learning all that stuff.
I mean, you got to figure it out. Once you figure it out, then the pace can go up, and that's where both combat sports in general just have the learning curve.
Yeah, man. You'll
figure out how it all works.
Spend a long time sucking at it before you.
Oh no,
before you get any good.
I'm enjoying it.
Yeah, man, it's fun though, man.
And honestly, it only gets more fun.
Yeah,
because the number of people that you can just beat up only ever gets bigger.
That's true. That's true.
Yeah, so just keep going.
Yeah.
So, what kind of goals do you have in grappling and in life today?
So we talked a little bit about White Dragon, right? And building up that judo program. And, now even just getting ready for this last competition, I had this moment where I stepped on the mat there and I realized, man, everybody here is getting good. I have training partners. I can put together a few of you, and these rounds are hard, and I'm getting pushed in a way for the sport of judo that I haven't been in years. And that's so satisfying to see, because I've helped each and every one of those guys get better, helped teach them. And in general, like I said, judo's in a weird spot. It's got a big problem. And in the Midwest especially, there's a bit of a desert, the desert of judo. All of it's concentrated on the coasts. There's very little out here. So one big goal that I have for judo in general, that's I think is a little more important to me than my competition goals. My competition for judo, honestly, is because that's going to serve that. It's going to help that. Is St. Louis is going to become a place where judo is fucking strong. Like White Dragon already is becoming the top school in the region. Until you go out to like Chicago, you're not going to find a better school with better judo. That's not very humble to say, but that's what I think. And we're constantly working with other people and building up judo in other places. And even just like, this is what I mean about like having not an old head mentality. Even just having people go to jujitsu comps or learn some stuff from us and do that in jujitsu. Like that's judo. That's our stuff spreading and growing and thriving. And my goal is that exists in St. Louis for a long time. I'm trying to build that up right now. And I think we're slowly getting there. We're only on the up. And then, that's the big one. That's the big one.
Love that.
Now, do they have teams like how you got TAC team for jiu-jitsu? Do they have that in judo?
So we have the Olympics, which kind of shapes a lot of it. So at the top level, it's a national level. And then, of course, there are the individual schools. The individual schools get very competitive with each other. They want to beat each other. They go to whatever competition it is, local or big, they want to beat each other. But there aren't really affiliations in the same way. I would say there are definitely schools that have networks with each other and work with each other. And one of my big goals right now for White Dragon is to just build that out. Let's get as many people on board with just working with us, doing stuff with us, doing training camps, getting together, seminars, anything that we can do with other people we're trying to do right now, because there aren't teams. So we're almost starting from square one. And because no one really thinks about judo this way, it's there for the taking. If you got 4, 5, 6 judo schools together to actually coordinate, be like, we're going to get better together. We might be all really far apart, but we actually put in the effort, you would see the level of that sport and the level of participation in that sport skyrocket. And no one's doing it.
Yeah, man. Wow. Now, I'm pretty ignorant to the world of judo, but now when you go to a judo competition, are there team trophies like there are in jiu-jitsu?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. You will get like which school did the best, but it won't be like TAC team. It would just be the school.
It'd just be White Dragon.
Yeah. White Dragon.
Okay.
White Dragon.
Just curious. And then, as far as you with, your career with, pursuing PhD in physics, what's the game plan, after you're
Got to finish the PhD. That's going to be, I only have a couple more years for that, so that won't be too much longer, but it'll be, it's a marathon, and the last bit will be hard, but I think after that, there's still a lot of crossroads. There's a lot of options. I think my big goal is, I like problem solving. If I get that as my job, then I'll be happy and I can do good work. But if I can find something that lets me keep my lifestyle. So right now I can, as a grad student, you can be really squirrely, especially because I don't work in a lab. I do stuff either on a computer or on paper. So if I do it at 1 a.m. or if I do it at 6 a.m. or if I take a break and go train, as long as my work gets done and I know that I'm putting in the work overall, then I can really stick stuff together in a way that works. So part of me is a little braced for like, this moment where I got to go back to regular life, 9 to 5, and then still train a lot. I would still train a lot. I know I would, but I like being able to just train.
Have the flexibility,
whenever.
man. Like, I mean, that's what I do with my job. I mean,
Yeah,
I've set my life up that way where I can be at 10 a.m. class
For
from
sure.
10 to noon on a Monday. Like, you know,
got the
and go
freedom.
train.
Freedom is key.
You know, that's the key to, I mean, I hope that's something you can find, because that's what you want. You want to be able to control your destiny, and not kind of have to be stuck in a spot for, this set period of time. Like that right there is just, I mean, there's a lot of people out there that's their life, but if you can figure out a way where you can,
I feel like I'm stacking my cards in a good way.
100%.
But this is something that's always in the back of my mind, because I'm already so entrenched in like the grappling community in so many ways. Like, what if it just keeps taking over more and more of my life? And I don't know what that's going to look like. And who knows?
Yeah, who knows? Maybe
there's always been, I think, as long as I've been doing combat sports, and I was lucky, like even as a kid, I had a lot of my friends doing it with me. So I had peers, and I always had this little bit of a tendency to kind of get a group together and try to just lead us to go do something. Like, guys, let's get together. Let's train at this time. Let's get together. Let's go to this tournament. And that, I think, has been helpful for White Dragon. And I think that also in general means like, what if it just keeps going? I have a school, or I just teach more class in it. Who knows? I don't know yet.
But I mean, because how old are you now?
26.
26. Yeah, you're still so young, man. Like, you got a lot of things ahead.
Old.
Gotta make the most of it while I'm here.
For sure, man. No, it's awesome. I love everything that you're doing, Phil, and
I appreciate
having you as a friend and a training partner all these years has been great for me. I mean, I've learned a lot from you, and you're one of the best training partners I have. So
I really appreciate that.
I've shied away from you since that first day. So. maybe
I think I'm usually pretty chill, but some days, like whatever reason in my head, I'm like, I have to go. I have to do some stuff.
Sometimes you gotta chimp out, like as you like to say.
Chimp out. Just gotta go. Well, I appreciate that, Zach. One of the cool things about jiu-jitsu is you get to really meet a bunch of different people, and you get to find people that like have a lot in their lives. They have a lot of things that you want. They have a lot of success. They have their lives set up for grappling. They have families, and you try to, I'm just going to lean this way a little bit. I'm going to try to attach myself to those people a little more. And in general, grappling has been amazing for just learning to be around people, learning to deal with people, and learning to just network and connect with the kinds of people that you want to be around.
Oh, I know. Like, think about our Saturday morning crew. Like, it's such, if you put all those guys, there's probably 12 or 13 of us in that group chat. And, we get together every Saturday morning and train. And, if you put all of us down on paper, like,
killer crew.
It's just such a diverse crew,
diverse crew.
Very different, like, backgrounds, demographics, income level. Like, it's just very, very different, and that's like one of the coolest thing about jiu-jitsu is it's just like that, all that shit doesn't fucking matter at all when we're all on the mat, like it doesn't matter what you got going on, or what your life's like, or what you've built for yourself. But like, we're all here together doing this one thing. And, that's all that matters. And, that's one of my favorite things about jiu-jitsu is when I step on the mat, like kind of the rest of the world kind of shuts off for an hour, it
all just melts away.
It all melts away. And, I step off and open my phone and realize all the things I got to do now. And, but
it hits you like a freight train when you step off again.
Oh yeah. Me and Rich were talking about that yesterday in the locker room. He's like, some days you just, you get out and like you realize the whole world's on fire and you didn't even know about it. And, and then other days you open your phone and, no messages, no missed calls. All right.
What a day.
Like, all right.
Back to open mat.
Yeah. I can go back to train. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, man. It's awesome. But, we really appreciate having you in here, Phil. Is there anything that we didn't discuss that you want to get to?
Oh man, we covered a lot.
We
covered a lot. And with the false start too, there's part of this like, I don't know if we repeated anything but I think we covered.
Yeah, we hit a little warm up.
My life is
that
pretty
up again, damn it.
It's all good. I think that helped me out more than anything. But I mean, my life is pretty polarized between like we'll call it 2.5 things, because judo and jiu-jitsu are like, they overlap so much. But those 2 things and my PhD, and other than that, man, I feel like I don't have a life. I'm just focusing on my thing, and it'll open up once I get all of this stuff settled. We'll hopefully have a great life.
Yeah, you will for
Well,
sure.
tell the listeners and everything how they can get in with you at White Dragon and what you guys are doing there. Go give yourself a little promo there.
Yeah, so I'm on Instagram as Vojta the Grappler. That's Vojta the Grappler. And you go to the White Dragon's website at wdjudo.com. You can look at our schedule and all of the stuff we do. And if you look us up, we also have social media everywhere. So don't hesitate to reach out to us or to me. And I mean, if you're interested in judo, we are the place to be. We are definitely on the up and up, and we're only going to keep doing bigger and bigger things.
That's awesome, man.
Love it. Well, Phil, we end the show the same way every time. So I know you've probably seen some episodes in the past, so you may or may not have known that this was coming, but we end the show the same way. So
got the Tombstone game.
The Tombstone game.
Yeah,
I watched a couple episodes, but I somehow always missed the very end. So you're gonna have to help me out.
So Tombstone game. Here lies Phil. What's it say on your tombstone?
He went for it.
Perfect.
I love it.
That's awesome.
Awesome. Well, thanks again for coming in, Phil, and thanks to everybody at home that watched or listened to this episode. If you haven't clicked that subscribe button yet for us, please do so. That would help us out a ton. Pat and I have a goal this year to get to 500 subscribers on YouTube before the end of 2025. So help us out and hit that subscribe button. Share this episode with a friend, hit that like button, comment what you thought below, and we will see you next time.